Okay, good evening to everybody. Welcome to Grenada Matters. I have with me, as always, my co-host Dennis Charles and Master Melvin Coutain in the room. We're waiting for Hudson George. He's got a few technical problems at the moment. But how are you, gentlemen?
Good, man. England, how are you? I haven't seen you for a while.
I'm all right. I'm good. We're dealing with a lockdown. We're dealing with a lockdown as best as we can.
Wow. Well, I didn't know you cooked it, but I don't know where you get these coconut trees on them behind you.
You like it?
You didn't know
You're jealous.
You look like you're on Battery Beach.
I'm just waiting for the Chinese sign somewhere to say "way back home." That's all it is. I'm just waiting.
Okay.
I'm waiting for the China sign. That's it. So how are you guys anyway? How are you, Dennis?
Well, I'm doing good. It's a little cold for Atlanta.
Yeah.
Really cold, which we don't like here.
Yes.
Up north, when you're in New York, you expect that kind of temperature.
Yeah.
But down in the south, you don't hear almost to Florida and all of that. You don't need to be, you know?
Yeah. See, you just need a background like this, then you'll feel warm afterwards.
Well, I hope so.
As you can see, if I can look at my back in there, it is Grenada. Believe it or not, it is Grenada.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, technology.
Nice though.
Yeah.
Right. Well, at least on this beach, I'm not going to get thrown off it. I don't know about you, Melville, but on this beach, I'm not getting thrown off. I own this beach.
Oh gosh.
Right. So, Dennis, what are we talking about this evening?
Yes, well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, it's a pleasure here to be with my good friend, Mr. Coutain, and on StreamYard.com, Mr. Ingram. We have some very important issues to discuss. Of course, the state of affairs in Grenada. We come to realize that our economy is on shallow grounds, no foundation at all as far as what we had before. After 20-something years in power, the NNP and the kind of politics practiced by Prime Minister Kit Mitchell, we don't have much, unfortunately, to show for it. We have a lot of empty promises, if you want to quantify that. But in terms of substance, there is a lot to be desired. So at this point in time, the young folks with no jobs, the teachers cannot get the money. Money's promised to them. The nurses are leaving. And our productive sectors, we are an agriculture country, based country. There is nothing there to sustain us. Year over year, we should see an increase in our GDP. Every sector of the economy should increase. We should be promoting tourism. We should be promoting agriculture too. We should be manufacturing more of our local products and try to sell abroad and get foreign currency. There is a lot. We should be investing in our youths. We have the School of Medicine, also known as St. George University. We should use that facility, give our kids scholarships, or at least assist with tuition costs. So they don't have to go abroad, whether it's to England, to Canada, or to the United States, or even Trinidad or Barbados to study. We have the same university right there. Educate our youngsters so they would return right back in their village or parish or whatever and make a contribution to uplift. That is how you do it. You invest in the young people today and they would deliver for you tomorrow. But if you have this kind of short-sightedness, you cannot run a country without a plan. You're just fooling people, you wine and dine just before the election. You get a little job, few dollars in the hand. That is not development. So that is what I want to start on today, and we will delve in it as we go along.
Oops, Daisy. Thank you for that. Yourself, Melvin, what did you want to talk about this evening as well?
Well, as somebody on the ground, basically, is what Dennis is talking about is real critical because it affected my life just as well because I'm living here. I work in St. George's University for 20 years. I was a shop steward down there also. So 3/4 of the time I work there, I work with the union. So I have a very good insight on what are going on. And what he's saying is correct. And I'm not saying the government is not paying much emphasis on St. George's University, getting the people of Grenada to really get inside of there and learn the school. Per se, I know St. George's University have a lot to offer. I empower myself working there at the time, and I still empower myself because there's a lot of program and crash courses local people can be doing. Sometimes you don't even know. The problem in this place is there's opportunities for our people, but they have some people in the ministry and other places in Grenada. They should not be there. These persons is what keeping back. Yes, the prime minister and others will be blamed for a lot of things, but it have some persons inside of this office. Them should be looking for work because there's information don't pass. There's information you give them information, they put it in a drawer and they slam the door. So it don't really filter down. The next thing I would like to really touch base on Ingram, you should talk is the lockdown.
Yes.
You should look at the lockdown because if you check the report from the Ministry of Health, if that report is correct, I really don't understand why it is we under curfew from 10 to 6 in the morning for 6 months. I really don't understand that because you shut down the place since March, and then all companies and restaurant and everything is closed down, and then you're talking about people need to live. The cost of living in Grenada is high, like them bombers what they used to bomb Iraq to kill Saddam Hussein. Now, if cost of living is so high and the troop is low, like the soldiers that went in Iraq to invade Iraq, your salaries is low. Every day you visit the supermarket. Yesterday I watched a tin of sardine is $4.17 for a tin of sardine. Okay? And the minimum wage, when you look at the minimum wage, not over 5 something. I think they tried to raise it the last time. It was 4 something at one time. Now, people have nothing coming in. So basically your pension, you have to go into and take out, or what little savings. Some persons have mortgage, they have car. Some guys buy a bus or something and they're trying to make a living that way. Agriculture. I just plant, as I tell you, I have a set of tomato in my hand right now. When you're listening marketing board is telling you basically right now, if you have to plant, you should talk to them so they could give contract and tell people what to plant. Marketing board and these people who manage in marketing board, between me and you, they should be looking for a job. Because if you're reaching a crisis right now, where we are right now, and you're back against the wall and you reach a junction, I believe marketing board should be on the radio nearly every day. Marketing board should be talking to them to see marketing, even people like me, so, and other persons to see what plan we could come up with. There's a lot of tomato on the market. Does marketing board teach anybody how to take tomato and turn it into ketchup? There's a lot of papaya in Grenada growing wild all over the place. Does marketing board tell people they could take papaya and make ketchup, or banana make, instead of these things staying there and rotten? Okay, you have cassava. Some people do cassava, they do the farine and all them things, but there's cassava. I buy cassava chip traveling already. You get cassava chip. There's mango. They take the same mango and they dry to put it in a package. There's plumbing season. There's time it just come plentiful. It just fall on the ground. The fishing industry, there's time to see there's a glut in marketed fish because the hotel industry closed down, so there's a lot of fish. But you could dry the fish. You could take the fish and turn it, instead of going and buying a sardine. There's a lot of jacks that sometimes they just dump it. And this is the kind of conversation marketing board, these people who run in marketing board, whoever they put them people is, should be talking about and get people to be industrialized. So if they're not talking that language and telling people careful what they're planting, and because you have a glut on the market and the hotel closed down and they cannot, whatever it is. Yes, but if you check the average person in Grenada, if you do a survey and check the average person in Grenada, and check the nutrition in the body, and most of them is malnutrition. They're not eating right because they can't afford to eat proper because the cost of living, as I tell you, is high. And everything right now, with these all these high-rise building, they say Chinese low-income house, it don't have no land around it. You can't plant a fig tree, nothing wrong there. So the persons inside that they have to work in order to live, to put food in the cupboard and in order to feed the children. And if you can provide them with a proper housing program where they could plant and encourage them to plant and manufacture, Dennis is saying, what will end up with us in the long run in years to come? We will just create a set of bandits.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It seems to me, it seems apparent when you talk about vision, planning, long-term, short-term, medium-term planning, if you have any sort of business, you'll say, well, this is our short-term plan, our medium-term plan, our long-term plan. Where are we going with this? What are we doing? What are our strengths, our weaknesses, our threats, our opportunities? SWOT. But it seems Grenada, or the head of Grenada, the vision seems to be destroy Grenada, destroy Grenada, destroy Grenada, and allow others to come in and take it over. Because if that's the plan, it's a very good plan.
Well,
do not educate the people, or do not educate. Keep the poor people down. Let the rich people continue to get rich. Bring in people from a foreign land and let them make themselves more wealthy in the land. You know, and this lockdown will not really affect those that are rich. It will affect those that are very poor.
Yeah, because it's setting you back.
Correct. The people that are in this lockdown that are rich, that are getting richer during this lockdown, they're getting richer from it.
Yes, yes,
You know
that is correct.
So what is the vision? What is the plan from our leader? What is the plan? What is the vision? What's the short term, medium term, and long term goal? 5 years, somebody's in office. What was the plan? What was the plan when you said you were going to come in? And what have you achieved? What have you achieved over 10 years? What have you achieved over 15 years? What have you actually achieved? You can sing, you can dance, you can talk, but substance. What have you achieved?
Yes. Yeah.
Go ahead.
47 years of independence, right?
Okay.
I asked the question, what we really achieve as poor? In 1974, right? I was here. My father brought me here in 69. And from 69 to 83, Grenada had a problem with politics. Now, 74 had a looting on the Carnage, and I think Maurice Bishop's father lost his life. My father migrated, a lot of my family migrated out of Grenada because people looking for betterment, they fed up with that. Gary was in office, and then a group of guys come, and the struggle continued. 1979, they make a move and they got through, technically. For 3 years after that, they rule, and they make a big turnaround and impact, but the impact, it has some little edges where it really wasn't nice. So we end up back in the same thing in 83. He was invaded. Now, they have election in 1984. They had a meeting in Union Island, a group of fellows was put together, and today, the same group of fellows were running here together with the same set of persons who created problem in 1983. In all sector, whether media, name, these is the same group of people that run, who was in prison, everybody. All of these people have a job today. All of these people, the children have a job. These are the people that are getting all the scholarships. These are the people that are getting the better salary. And you leave them there. But from 74 to 2001 independence, the poorer class of people, what they really achieve. You don't have a proper health system. You don't have a pension. Your salaries, as I tell you, is low, like the invasion crew that invaded Grenada back then. You understand? And these fellas' salary high up. A man come in office, his salary is 10,000, but therefore he's a multi-millionaire. Now, where we really going? What really happening here? You create industries, it mash up. You create factories, it mash up. You try to invest in vehicle, or you say, let us build a hospital, it start. Next government change, just stop it. One, you come back in office, you try again, you come back and stop it. University West Indies try to set up a campus here so you could introduce artisan and skills, and you understand, which was good for us also. And that in St. Andrews, we already developed the area of the bread basket at Grenada. It was stopped. So where you have a university, as I said, we're not making use of the university. The university, yes, it is here, but it is like a cancer among us because the university is growing, but are we really growing with the university? Vagrancy is on the rise. Mental problem is on the rise. So for 47 years of independence, what we really achieved now, a lot of poor persons now is buying a lot of decoration, putting on the house, buying t-shirts. School coming up, they're going to buy over $100 to spend on the children for independence outfit and what XYZ. We cook and whatever it is. But what we really achieving, what we gaining from it? That is, you understand? That is the question I'm throwing out there.
Yeah, well, my contribution and to that, I want to piggyback on your sentiment, is when you really take a long, hard look at it, you would realize we have gone backwards, right? We have allowed, if I should say, propaganda or maybe dogma to dominate us. We believe in a lot of foolishness. We fell for a lot of garbage because it sounds good, you know, like slogans and all of that. And it didn't bring us forward as a country, right? Kit Mitchell saw an opening. He went right in. Blaze was kind of weak and old. And a lot of people thought, being educated abroad, he spent a lot of years here in the United States, around the Washington, Maryland area there. He would usher in a new way, because the revolution sort of like let a lot of us down who supported the revolution. All right. It turned out that Kit is worse, because at least you could say, we know the revolution imploded, okay? But they made efforts in terms of education with the CPE. They did deliver on an international airport. They had a lot of young Grenadians learning how to fish. Actually, we had fishing trawlers from Cuba, and many persons got educated in terms of dentistry. Some became doctors and all of that. I know of a guy who became a pilot. He's in Canada right now. But they tried. They made a lot of foolish mistakes, maybe being young and too much of ego and all of that. And they ruined the very revolution they fought hard for. So it was a big collapse and a failure. But there are areas that they tried and they did something good. What we have now is a lot of the elements who were instrumental in the destruction of the revolution.
Thank you.
They are now infiltrating both sides of the aisle, the NNP and the NDC. In fact, they dominate the whole spectrum. Period. So it doesn't matter where you go, they are there. And this is something we have to look at. I have just said before the show, the way you develop a country is by empowering the people. And you start with the youths. You empower, you give them a ladder upon which they can climb, but they climb up, not to climb down, right? So that is what you do. You start with education. Forget the slogans, forget the propaganda and all of that machinery. Forget that. You give them a ladder to climb. You enhance the skill. You might send them abroad, yes, to learn or to study, whether it's agriculture or fishing in Cuba, or whatever it is. We have no problem with that, okay? Agriculture, Guyana, or wherever you want to send them, that's good, all right? But you have to invest today in the young folks, because they're going to be with us for a long time. If they're 18 or 20 years, they're going to live to what? 70, 80, 90 years. That's a lot of years you have with. So if you make them productive, you would reap a lot of benefits for many decades to come from them. That is why you have to target the youth. We have the, as I mentioned, St. George University. We could get a whole crop of dentists, doctors, social workers, whatever it is. If you want to invest in arts and all of that, you know, bring up the standard of our music, diversify our music. It is not just jump and wave and get a rag and a flag, right? You could mix it with a little slow reggae. We have talents in Grenada. but invest in your youth. In the Gary time, many years ago, and as I said, on Sunday coming, I'll do a tribute to Eric Matthew Gary and some of the good things he did. But remember that, right? There was a gentleman called Mr. Maguire. I believe he was from River Sally. Hudson George would attest to that. He was tasked with going around the island and Karikutu and supporting culture. Remember, the northern part of Grenada had more culture than St. George's, than the south. And that is the case, and it will remain the case, right? Because the northern part of Grenada had more of the African tradition, the Shango Baptist, and so forth, that introduced the drumming. And I could talk about Reverend Norman Paul and all of that, but that's for another show, right? And the French Creole tradition, which came from working under the estate, as we call it, or under the cocoa, which is a bad word to use, but they were farmers, right? Around where I grew up, we had Belmont Estate, we had Pointsville Estate, we had Carrier Estate, we had River Antoine Estate. My dad bought a big chunk of Conference Estate. You had Paradise Estate a little bit to the south if you're going toward Grenville side. It was just big plantation and big plantation. Sugarcane, cocoa, banana, all those things are labor intensive. So the people would sing while they harvest the sugarcane and the cocoa and all of that, right? And at nights they had stick fighting. Wow. and maypole, and the one that you go under a piece of bar, a piece of limbo dance. That was huge. I don't think anybody could touch the Northeast in terms of culture, and of course Tivoli Conference, La Poterie area. That's it, because they had so much of that going on as a kid. You don't even know where to go. There is so much culture, right? So Mr. Maguire, under the Ministry of whatever it was, maybe education, I don't know what the ministry name was, but he used to come and teach the young kids in school how to dance, the heel and toe, they sang in French or patois, right? And so we used to make concerts in the schools back then, the government school, Hermitage, Tivoli, all of that. And it was really good. They dressed with the African head tie and the long robes and different colorful, costumes with a waistband and all of that stuff. That was good. That was culture, right? Okay, you had another gentleman called James Thierry. The same James Thierry who was involved in the barrel of grease for the revolution and so forth, right? I think he's a cousin of Chester, same Chester. Yeah, Chester, yeah. So anyhow, he was tasked under Gary to develop sports. So if you're talking about long distance running, intercall, all of that stuff, kid organizing and so forth, he would go all around the country. That was his job. So we had so much. We even had women cricket. After the men season was over, you had women playing cricket, right? And in fact, the lady who used to captain the Grenada women cricket team, she came out right on the other side of my house where I grew up. Her name was Peter Clefida. She was the captain. They played cricket like men. So those days, you're looking back and you realize probably our better days behind us. We had so much culture, so much to look forward to. Whether it's Christmas time, you had all the bands going out and sing carols, parang and all of that, serenading and so forth. So much carnival time. Just Tivoli alone by itself, we had so many bands, from Wild Indian to Shrotney to Jab Jab to Maple to Apache, Sweet Mass, you name it. It was just crazy. We had that. And guess what? Most of the folks worked where? On the estates. River Antoine Estate, Belmont, and Pointsville. you know, paradise and so forth. But they were able to raise children, 5, 6, 7 children, working 1 or 2 different tasks a day on the estate.
They was occupied.
They were occupied, and they
Yes.
were happy. And my young life growing up in that area there, oh my God, it was so good. Now you fast forward, you bring all these guys from university, they became certified with a PhD, and all of them just full of shit, excuse my French, because they haven't done nothing. They think getting a degree or something behind or in front of the name, and they know it all. And what have they done? What have, you know, you look at Dr. Kit Mitchell, what has he improved when he himself talked about his father working on the, you know, agriculture, and he ended up dead broke, poor. He never, when he came into office, did anything. You had an opportunity when Ivan and later Emily, Hurricane Emily, destroyed Grenada, to resuscitate the nutmeg industry, to bring back agriculture in terms of the banana and all of that we could export. Put that aside, to planting new trees, windbreak, so as to get more rainfall, relief rain from the wind, because I live on the eastern side, the northeast side, so we are affected by the northeast trade wind, right? So back in the day, the plantations had all the windbreaks every, let's say, 200 or so yards. So it doesn't throw down the cocoa blossom, because all fruits, most of them start from a blossom. If it's cocoa, the cocoa blossom, very, very small and very, very weak. You could blow it off the tree. You ain't gonna get any cocoa. So they had rows of mango tree, seep trees, and whatever name those trees are, hog plum, whatever, to block the force of the wind. That means that your piece of land would be more productive, because the blossoms would remain and not get blown off and become fruit.
Okay.
So you have no cocoa. You get what I'm saying?
All right. Stick up in there.
Yeah.
Last thought. Okay. Now these people are smart. You know the same hog plum tree you're talking about there?
Yes.
A lot of women taking out the uterus today. Okay, I did a naturopathic medicine, so I studied that. That same hog plum, the midwife used to boil the hog plum leaf and put Epsom salt in it. And when a woman's seeing her menstruation, or they used to have the pot in the house and a pail.
Yes.
Stoop down over that, and that used to clean out the womb. So like you have things like fry ball. A lot of women have this big fry ball stick, and they go down to surgery. So they use things like zebapic and different, they call that shrinking herb. And there's a thing the Egyptian does do called castor oil pack. They do the castor oil pack on the tummy. The castor oil pack is for the fry ball or whatever cancer that holding on to the walls of the womb.
Yeah.
It drop it, and you use a shrinking herb, they shrink it. And that same hog plum leaf, they're passing out that fry ball or whatever sickness through the passageway, just like a child. They might just get up a day and they see something black just fall along in their potty. So that hog plum tree have a lot of benefit which the older folks know, and their midwife and thing amongst themselves, which it didn't really pass on unless it's not discussed with. But each tree they plant in the land it had a purpose and a reason why.
Exactly. And let me just tell you, with respect to the hog plum, it is full of beta carotene. The thing is so helpful for you. I mean, it is, we know soursop and all of that. Hog, I could find a tree as a little boy. I think I could remember where they were. We call it by a ravine at the end of my dad's land. There were bunch of that. But the purpose of them, right? The purpose was to cut down the force of the wind. Here, the other mistake, right? If you go to River Antoine Estate area there, or Conference Beach, because you know St. Andrews have a lot of agriculture and St. David's too, right? They dominate. You couldn't stay there and see Kubla Hill or the pole. It was just clouds and mist.
Wow.
You know, with Hermitage up there and all of that, but all you see is fog. You couldn't see anything, right? I went 3 years ago and I turned around and I looked straight at the light pole or whatever it is up there with the antenna. I'm like, you're kidding me. In my young days, I remember the size of Paradise River. That's another blunder the government made too. You remember the size of Tivoli River, the river next to Pearls Airport before they built Point Saline, right? Okay, you had a lot of rainfall because when the wind come this way with the moisture and the tall trees block the flow, the wind is forced to rise. Condensation takes place in the water droplets. Fall rain. So that side over there, man, sometimes we playing cricket and just all of a sudden you can't even pass to go Hermitage, the river overflow. Just crazy rain all the time. So the agriculture up there, I mean, everything was growing too big. The bananas also, you cut them in two. You can't carry them on your head. You understand?
Fertile soil.
Very big. So we had that. What the government had to do now, okay, after Ivan destroyed all those crops, trees, replant. If you go over Granitang, you could see the destruction. He did nothing as far as agriculture. Then people start cutting down the trees that remained to burn charcoal.
Poverty step in.
Well, poverty step in. Survival. You can't really blame them. Gotta do something to eat. So they cut the trees. So we come in like Haiti. Now here what happens. Jailing somebody for a bucket of sand or gravel because they want to sell and make $1 to buy food. That'll make no sense, right? The problem in terms of coastal erosion all the way up to Soteres is not so much, well, they take some sand. That's part of the contribution, but that's not the whole thing. It is the force of the wind. Because we lost all the trees that held the flow. So then the waves now get more powerful because it's more wind coming right through there. There are no big trees holding them back. You get what I'm saying? If you cut down all the trees, what happens? The water table drops lower because they don't have coverage, no cooling, no coverage, right? So they come. I went in our garden and the soil cracked so much you could see way down below down there. Not even warm. If you dig, you don't get a warm. It is bone dry. Nothing grows. And to make matters worse, the government under Kit Mitchell, because with that Nawasa thing, they shut down all those pipe stands in my neighborhood. So even the poor people, they're already poor and have nothing. You go to the pipe stand with a bucket, you get water to drink, you get water to feed your sheep, to give your animals to drink and stuff like that, to bathe and all of that. In the poorest of the poor neighborhoods, you would go and shut down and make poor people find money to run water to the house. They don't have it. So after you do that, you think they're going to go and plant lettuce and tomato? And you give them water for it?
Not only that, Dennis, I grew up more in the south of the island. Golf course, as a child growing up, golf course was a rain, just like Graniton. Golf course was a rainforest for the south of Grenada. They went up there and started developing up there. They destroyed the whole rain. And for the time they interfered golf course, the south of the island become dry. Grenada was rated, I think, #1 in the Caribbean for the spawning ground of fish. Mangrove. You hear this guy talking about replanting some of these mangrove and these areas that be eroded by the sea and the sand. The mangrove was a protection to slow down the current also.
Yes. With the root.
Yes. And next thing I'm saying, after Ivan, I think you touch on that. The French government gave $2 million. I don't know if it's euro or French mark to Grenada to replant the banana industry, and they didn't want back money. They was willing to take back the product, which is the banana, okay, for repayment. I don't know what happened to that. You understand? But
we know.
no, there's other governments who make that effort to see they could have get it going. I think Chavez was willing to take banana and spice in exchange for oil instead of payment. All these little things we was getting was happening. But we continue destroying the mangrove. Up to this morning, I see a guy cut down 3 big trees. And these trees, what this man cut down, I believe them tree could be about 200 years old. The trunk is really huge. Okay? And I tell him, I said, how much carbon dioxide that gone on the ground there? The time has reached now. I believe every Monday morning they're passing law to lock up man in Grenada for foolishness. The time should reach any time you have to cut a tree, you should have permission. That is the kind of thing should start to implement.
Now they have something in England, like I don't call it a green belt, but there's certain areas in Grenada, in England, you cannot touch the land. You cannot make any adjustments on the land. You cannot cut trees down. You cannot cut things down. There has to stay the way it was met naturally. No matter what government comes in power, no matter how much rich a person is, the land must stay the same. They should have those laws in Grenada as well. I don't know if they are there.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of money pumping here for global warming, and they have the climate smart team, and then they have what they call the Go Green and all these other people. But the point is, this is the conversation they need to start having.
But having said that, you've got obviously what we've had on the channel, the Silver Sands project. That whole area there was forbidden. You were not made to build on that.
Well, I can tell you,
project.
Yeah, that piece of property that once belonged to my grandfather, and that area there, it had a well. There's water sprouting from the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. And was a nut. As a kid, I used to go in there and tie sheep, pick up coconut tree and different thing inside it. That is the kind of life. But the point is, what they did today, oh God, that is craziness. Really, really craziness. And it's not a benefit to us, because the last thing, they bring this to this place, they create job for us. Then the next thing they say that the type of workers they're looking for, they can't get it here. So they started bringing workers from outside.
We knew that.
You understand? So when you say investing, who are you investing in? Because
let me just tell you something. When you talk about short-sightedness, right? There is only one minister in Grenada. He's a crime minister.
Crime minister. The crime minister.
Yeah, the crime minister. The others are just, you know, how you see little puppy dogs looking for corn, for crumbs from the table, right? And that's it. They have no involvement, nothing in nothing. Everything they do, it has to go to him and from him, right? They cannot initiate anything on their own. It's like they're dumb and they're deaf, right? They take orders. So this is really sad. But I'm going to tell you something else. My good friend Livingston Nelson once, he sent me something regarding the excavation of our coastline, because it was a whole lot of heavy equipment taking out sand mining on a large scale around Pearl's conference area, which is not far from where I came from. Telescope area, right? Okay, good. Now, while you're locking up a young man broke and he's trying to make $1 to buy food, you know, for taking out sand, you have, I think the government sold, the gravel and sand people with the big machinery. You understand? So it's not a bucket of sand they're taking out now. You know?
Gravel and concrete.
Yes, gravel and concrete. You understand? Sanctioned by the government to destroy the whole area up there. But you would put a young person trying to make a buck to eat behind bars
for 6 months.
6 months in jail. You know, I can't understand it, because one of my good friends went home, right? She went home. They bought a piece of land next to Pearl's Airport, and she called me and she said, I went down there to see where my land is, and when I reached, I can't find it.
Water coming in.
The sea. She met the sea because they all the stand and sell, right? If you're connected to the government, and then with the fiasco with Grenada and so forth, we don't have to go there, but we know what's happening. Is one group of people involved in everything in the government who is related to the prime minister and all of that. All of them is a cabal. You have one group of people suffocating the Grenadian economy. You want to buy a car to send home or bring down a car you want to return, they make it
Mr. Steele in charge.
Yeah. Another got right connection. You have connection. So they care that when you come down, you're bringing down some retirement money, your pension, or you could contribute and help mentor the youth. So whatever you're going to do to build your local, your village or your community, they don't care what you have to help, but you don't cut the profits that their people making. So one group of people have Grenada on the hook, right? And you, doesn't matter what level you have, how much assets you bringing back, what you could contribute to the economy in Grenada. Don't come because Mr. So-and-so with a big name connected to the government, you might give him competition.
Okay.
Why not diversify?
Okay. We got 20 minutes. Let's do something completely spontaneous.
Mm-hmm.
The topic is New Grenada. Okay, Mr. Charles, you are the Prime Minister of Grenada. You have become the Prime Minister of Grenada. Mr. Coutain, you are his assistant. You are his deputy Prime Minister, and I'm just the media. I'm just listening in. This is it for 20 minutes now. We talked about what Teef Mitchell has done. We've talked about all his cabal. Let us now talk about what a new Grenada looked like, because we've got a lot of people in Grenada that can talk. Let us now talk about a new Grenada and what a new Grenada would look like under Dennis Charles and Master Melvin Coutain.
Okay.
Let's have it then. You've got 20 minutes. Let's go, gentlemen.
I'll take 10 and I'll give Coutain 10. Is that good?
That sounds good. But don't argue between the pair of you. We need you united. We have
Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to celebrate another year of independence. There were challenging times in our past, but at least the past should not be indicative of our future. We can grow, and there's a lot of room to do better. I, in my humble opinion, want to state here today that there are better days ahead. Number one, were I to get involved in the political arena, I would answer first to you, because you employ me and you empower me. I would be a good steward of the Grenadian economy, right? And I would seek to better the lives of every man, woman, and child with my policy or policies. Number one, since that our economy is based on agriculture, I would seek to revitalize agriculture. I would seek to empower the youths. I would use the radio stations to teach, to educate the young folks in terms of diversifying our base from our traditional crops, cocoa and nutmeg, clove, etc. I would seek to process and add value so that we can sell and get foreign currency. In other words, every sector of the economy should show improvement year over year. I am talking about growth and development. More importantly, I would be accountable to you My policies would be debated, it would be made clear, and I think we can move forward on that. Number two, I would wipe out cronyism, any apparent, I don't know, corruption, whether it's friend or family getting favors from me. I would wipe that out from my administration. Okay, I answer to you because you employed me. All right. We have a situation where we, over the years, have become complacent with professional politicians jumping from one ship to the other. We can call them political acrobats, involved in Grenadian politics for decades, and they have nothing to show for it. Those people would have to go. We would bring in young folks with energy, with vision, with a plan, and execute those plans for the betterment of our nation. We have other ideas that we could put forward and discuss in terms of tourism, but we are not going to depend only on one sector of our economy. We cannot do that. We have to diversify and have a broad-based economy, right? We don't put all our eggs in one basket, but yes, tourism and ecotourism could play a good part in what we're doing. I would like to see self-sufficiency and sustainability as part of my platform. We have fish in Grenada, so much so in Guave, sometimes they dump them. We could fillet, we could salt. One, I would ban saltfish. We could smoke and make our own smoked herring. We have sugarcane all over Grenada. We could produce molasses, we could get sugar. We don't need to buy sweet drink or sugar water from Trinidad. What I'm talking about is empowerment for the young ladies who are good at making whatever products, pastries or guava cheese and jams and preserve and jellies and all of that. We would open up factory shells and help them market and package their product. If they could sell abroad, fine. But we would assist them with advertising and all of that, whatever expertise, we can bring to bear to help them promote, because it's all about empowering. And if we focus on the youth and the education, we can make maximum use of the School of Medicine or the St. George University, where our young folks can learn different skills and trades, right? They could be professional at many different things. They don't have to go to New York. They don't have to go to Canada. They don't have to go to other countries, Barbados and Trinidad or whatever, to pursue anything. When we have the very same university, nicer campus right there. So I'm talking about sometimes we have to look inward. And if we can come together and harness our resources together, we can build. Because the only way we go forward is when we join hands, when we join hearts, and when we join heads. And we can move Grenada forward. We have first to get the blight out of power, the current Prime Minister of Grenada. We gotta go. This gentleman, with all the education he has led Grenada down a rabbit hole. The young folks have nothing more to do than begging and waiting on $40 on a bottle of Woodman. You don't develop an economy with that. Every 5 years, they get some debushing, 2 sheets of galvanized and a bag of cement. You don't develop Grenada with that. The folks around him sucking the economy dry with all the corruption and all of that, they should be held accountable. And I could name a few, including the current finance minister. Speaking truth to power, my administration would be telling you the truth. I would not send my education minister out there to lie and tell you we had $2 million cash stashed somewhere when we cannot fix the erosion in Sotel, where the sea is taking people. One person had to tie the house with a rope. I've never seen that no place around the world. And for years, you have seen the erosion and you don't know, just common sense, to put a dead wall or a line of stones, big stones, or take some of the sand from by the area where the Carib jump off that they say, and just use the dump trucks to build up a dune higher so that you would save the remaining coconut trees or whatever it is right there. But just dump some rocks and some big stones and keep the waves at bay so we don't lose the whole fore pasture going up to Darby due to coastal erosion. Short-sightedness. I will speak truth to power, because if you had that $2 million there all along, why didn't you spend it on something? You cannot fix potholes. So yes, fellow Grenadians, there's a lot more I can do in terms of making Grenada the hiking capital of the world. We don't have tigers. We don't have leopards, lions, alligators, poisonous snake, nothing. Granitang, Fedo Camp, Monquaqua, where Fedo lost his brother. All those areas, we probably have gems and mineral resources. We have sulfur springs. We have gold spring. We have boiling spring. We have the best tasting water in the world. We have a lot. Seven Sisters Waterfall. There's a lot we have. We have the Welcome Stone with that panoramic view. The hiking capital of the Caribbean, at least. No place better and more beautiful. Look at Monjalo. I would build a platform in Monjalo so the people could look down at the beauty, the expanse of sea. You're looking over from Grandans all the way to the park and St. George Harbor below you. Imagine how beautiful that would be Monday night mass, right? People would take wedding pictures there. I would build a platform. Maybe you could hold a couple buses, but really decorated with nice flowers and so forth. This is a site made in heaven.
Okay.
And believe you, Grenada would be on the map.
Mr. Charles, Mr. Charles, I have a few questions for you. Okay. First of all, how are you going to deal with COVID, the current pandemic, and the lockdowns around the world, and the pressure for Grenada to submit to the other world leaders and new world order?
Submit.
Yes. Thank you. Fellow Grenadians, with respect to the COVID-19 and possible mutation, we would speak with one voice. We would have a well thought out plan, and it wouldn't be haphazard every day or two, somebody contradict each other with a new plan coming from Mr. Steele, the Prime Minister, saying something else, another minister. I mean, we don't know where we're going. We would have something that we think about long term, and we would comply with WHO and any regional bodies in terms of having a common strategy with the other Caribbean islands. But the fact that we have a lockdown for 6 months, I don't really think it makes sense, because the lockdown is only from like 9, 10 in the night until the morning. I believe COVID-19 spreads during the day too. I don't believe COVID-19 is nocturnal. So to me, that doesn't make much sense. Number two, the cost of administering a rapid test should not be $800 a pop. As in the case of my friends who were in Grenada recently, trying to buy a property down there, she told me she don't think she would ever set foot back in Grenada, because after being locked down for so long, requesting a visit from the Ministry of Health for the test, because they have to test you again, they couldn't come days, and they locked down in front of Christmas because they had no vehicle. So they spent more than the time necessary when they wanted to enjoy the Christmas with their loved ones. All right, no vehicle. to get the test, if she in a hurry, she had to agree to St. Augustine, whatever that is, to come and do the test. But it would be $800 a piece. This is fleecing and exploiting the Grenadian people.
Okay, Mr.
Right?
Charles, the next question I'm going to ask you is foreign investment. How are you going to tackle foreign investment? People have already invested in the island, invested in hotels and big business on the island, and have demands that they want their exclusivity. How are you going to tackle that and not exclude the Grenadians?
Right. Well, I would reverse course on some of the initiatives made by the NNP government, because it's a cash cow. Most of the investments they talk about, where they give you passport, Grenadian passport, or they make you some sort of ambassador with diplomatic immunity, you have to pay for that. It is not free. If it is somebody who is coming in to invest in Grenada, invest in Grenada. But you cannot invest in Grenada and you bring all the workers from Egypt or other countries in Asia. That is not investing in Grenada. That is exploiting Grenada. If you're investing in Grenada, you would manufacture some of the things that you want to sell in Grenada, not bring it from over there and come and sell in Grenville.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. Next question. We've got to move on because we're short on time. Next question I'm going to ask you is medical and the hospital. What are you going to do? What are you going to do with that hospital? It is in a terrible state. What are you going to do to help the workers in Grenada and the Grenadians with the current hospital that is there as a complete state, a shambles? What are you going to do with the health system?
Yes, that is correct. I would try to retain as many
possible. You will try. We are under, the Grenadians are under serious pressure here with this hospital. Well, there's an urgency needed here. What the current administration haven't done anything about it.
I would get funding from the consolidated funds. Number one, to go to, whether it's bandages and bedspreads and supplies and all of that, medication, other things that we use in the hospital, but part of it would go to salaries that the government had promised the nurses and reneged. So they are leaving and go to England and all of that. We have to keep the nurses. Even if we have a brand new hospital with all modern equipment and machinery and all of that, dialysis machines and all of that, and we don't have any nurses, it doesn't make sense. We have to keep our manpower. And the only way you're going to make them happy is to make them feel that they are worth it, okay? By paying them a decent wage, all right? All the promises made to them, and after you renege when the election is over. Same thing to the teachers. I think right now they're trying to get the 4%. In other words, they are already underemployed. They're not making what they should be making. So I would live up to my promises or agreement made to them, so that they don't feel that they are tricked every 5 years before election.
Okay, final question. Final question. How are you going to raise finances for an island which is struggling?
Yes. Now, there is something called, as you know, I'm in the financial world. We can, in this country, for instance, we have munis. You can float a bond. You can float a bond and have local Grenadians and even Grenadians in the diaspora buy into a bond, right? You could raise, let's say, 500 million or $1 billion, whatever it is amount. You could sell bonds. In this country here, most of the funding for projects and all of that, the funding is heavily Japanese or people from China. We owe a lot of debt to the Chinese because they are the ones that buy our bonds, and the Japanese. So they raise capital by doing that. So this is something that we can do in Grenada. We have twice as many Grenadians and the children living abroad, England, Canada, the United States, and they have money. They have done well, and they would love to contribute to the country, right? The homeland. So it is not hard. It's just about thinking. every country around the world, wherever you go, even in New York City raise money. They sell municipal bonds. Municipalities sell bonds. It is called municipal bonds. It is not hard. It is easy to do.
Okay,
So,
Mr. Charles, I have to stop you there. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll now have to talk to your deputy now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Very good, by the way. Very good. Right, Mr. Kutain. Now you put you on the spot now. Let's go.
Let my deputy take over.
Well, you put me on a spot now, because remember now I'm the deputy, so I have to support my prime minister. Okay?
That's right.
So,
That's
okay.
right.
If I was a prime minister, as I'm sitting here right now, I'm a bush jacket. So I'd go, the only so I see to fix this thing, if I was the prime minister.
But you're not the prime minister, you're the deputy prime minister.
I get in a position, but I said if I was.
But you're not. You're the deputy prime minister for today. So you're the deputy prime minister. You can't go and get your prime minister. This is not good for Grenada. This is not good. It's not good already when the prime minister died.
Okay, so I the deputy.
Fighting.
I had to work with my head. Okay, so I know my advice to him and to the team. Basically, we need to get the ship moving, and we have to look at the pillars we have. We have finances a problem. We have manpower, which is a problem. You have health is a problem. So that 3 pillars of the economy, we need to get it going. So the fittest thing to do there right now, you need at the moment in time, you need to get down on the ground and get people to work with you. So we could provide food, not imported food. We need to produce food. The few persons that have good brain and good listeners and thinkers, we get them to eat local. Next thing we need to do, we need to be talking to CARICOM. CARICOM need to be working over 7 million persons within the CARICOM region. We include Haiti in that, which I think is part of it also. We include Cuba in that. So in the English-speaking Caribbean, you have 7 million. CARICOM need to start working. There's some leaders there need to move out from there. They need to get their acts together. We have food. Between here to Guyana and Suriname, we have a lot of food. So we need to get back the federal palm and the federal maple running up the islands. We need to get them food and them moving. Okay? So we're talking to them. But a lot of these persons right now I will advise presently who leading right now the business sector, we need Scotland Yard or somebody to come in and investigate. And we need to track some of them. We need to track some of them funds. All this Swiss bank, we need to track it. We need capital. So we need to use an approach like Singapore. Okay? And we need to set examples. So we need to start cleaning up our cell and paint it up nice and put fridge and thing in there and put them in there. Because we don't want them to run. So we need funds, we need capital, we need to start seizing assets. And a lot of those guys are them that from other countries who we know internationally, they cannot enter other countries. We also need to check up on them to find out if they're legit, because we need capital. Okay? And we have a medical university here. We're going to get a hospital because we had all the plans and things. So we're going to get a hospital. We're going to get the hospital running. And the next thing with COVID, we're going to close all the borders. Who coming in here, they have to go through a serious system before you hit the street out here. Our people will be free because we live in an island. The only thing to enter here is by a boat or a plane. So you have all yacht that come in here have to come in that entrance. All yachts have to enter there. The fishermen, they have an entrance, they come in and you check them out. If they have COVID or whatever it is, you're going inside and deal with your case. Now, You're talking, so our people going to be free. Our people have to be under this lockdown and be there. You're not on a continent. So if you're using the approach,
20%, good point.
Yeah, if you want to use the approach, what England is using, America is using, South America is using, you're wrong. We on an island. I live in here. COVID have no right to touch me if you're doing your work. So the Minister of National Security, the Minister of Health, he need to start thinking how COVID reaching Grenada, how it passed from one gate and end up outside. Somebody not doing the job. Okay? The next thing with that, we have a lot of herbs. As I speaking to you right now, Ingram, I sent a video and I can send several videos. I help persons who had COVID in England, Canada, in the States had COVID. And I stay right here in Grenada and advise them what to do and they get over it. So I don't understand when I listen to this guy talking about vaccine and about this whole COVID thing, it all boils down to nutrition. If you want to feed your people on KFC and Pizza Hut and Burger Boys and all this set of foolishness, you're going to get COVID because the strength of your sperm will tell you your health.
Jesus Christ.
You understand? So if you're not eating properly and the cost of living is high, as I tell you, like the bombers are bombing Iraq and bomb Grenada, where therefore nutrition, people wouldn't be strong, people will be weak. Okay? We have enough herbs here, I can tell you that. We could fix this problem. We have enough of our food. Grenada have one of the best soil in the Western Hemisphere. Dennis know that. Okay? We need to get it working. And all them parasite that when the night come jogging out all we fish, you need to talk to a place like Norway and set up a radar. Anybody within our perimeter, we arresting them and we impound in the vehicle. We impound in the boat, just name it. But the point is, our fishing industry will be top. You can't go in Norway and catch fish on this thing just so. Forget that. White is people coming in here. So which means in your boundaries, you need to know your boundaries. And that is a conversation they started, and then Chavez come and die. You know, all of that should have dealt with. Because we're looking for oil. But the point is, our boundaries, we need to protect our boundaries. So we control our fishing industry. And all these persons who put in goal in front of you and pass it in front of you, anytime you go to grab the goal, they're pulling it back. We need to go back around the table, let us talk. Otherwise, you got to do like Uncle Gary, you give 45 days or 45 hours.
Get out.
To make a decision. We need to start thinking so. Otherwise, we're wasting time. You can't be dealing with a lion like a pussycat. You understand? We have enough thing here. We have wind energy. You have mountains in Grenada. There's countries, Ingram, you know, is just desert. And there's faring well. We have mountain. You have wind power. You have solar energy. You have the sea. I was in Brighton in England, and them using the current and with windmill and the generating current. You should know that because I was in Brighton.
I live 20 minutes from Brighton.
Well, thank you. How are they getting current there? Not from the same sea, through wind energy and the sea water. That is what we have. Okay? You have waterfalls. Okay? Your mangrove need to be planted. You need to get his mangrove back up. You need it. Yeah. You need to give each school child a tree. You have 30,000 kids here. Okay? A young person is the population of 110. If you give each school child a tree to plant, do the maths. Okay? That child will take care of that tree because they'll cherish the tree. And even when they get big, they'll still go back by that tree.
Okay, Mr. Kute.
Yeah.
Mr. Kute. Okay, question time.
Good.
First question. How are you going to change the mentality of the people who are inhabiting the land, particularly the Grenadians themselves, not so much the foreigners, the Grenadians? How are you going to make them understand that the current regime is playing them the Pied Piper?
Well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. So first to begin, one of the problems we have here, the cheapest thing in Grenada is alcohol. So some alcohol price will be very high. If you want to drink alcohol, you got to spend the money for it. Okay? Now, you're locking up a man for a spliff. A man will drink alcohol, come home, beat his wife, kill his dog, kill children, everybody, and get up next morning and say he didn't do it. A man will smoke his spliff and he lie down in a corner and he humble. But you give him 15 years for trafficking marijuana. Every day you listen to the news. They're catching people with marijuana, but nobody with cocaine. You understand? So, first to begin with that, alcohol is one of the problem. The family structure. We need to work on the family structure. The next thing you're talking about, the Christian society.
Mm-hmm.
That is a serious area that is eroding and destroying us. It's a set of criminals disguised as people that want to go to heaven, preaching, and they have two tongues. They're speaking at two sides of the mouth. And the ending up of the day, they're telling you, well, watch, I don't know where you're going, you know. And they're telling you what color to accept instead of dealing with the issues because the family structure is not there. The ladies, when the ladies and them, well, I guys are divorcee. But the point is, I love my children. And if you didn't train a young girl to take care of a man and to take care of herself, that is our next problem we have. And our next problem, the young man was taught to be a man. No, this is some of the problem we have. This is where the churches come in. If you drive through Grenada, you've seen some big churches like castles. The churches is on somebody's name. It might name some Baptist this or Deliverance that, but it's on somebody's name registered in the registry. And these churches just locked up. You go in there, it have 5 persons a day for service. And some of them who doing well because money coming from somewhere else because money laundering going through some of these things also. But the point is, these sometimes it have 5 persons in church, 6 persons, 10 persons. But when Sunday done, the church lock up. These churches will be turned into community centers.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
They'll be community centers. And then you get persons in the village to assist in teaching. Okay? When you get up in the morning, a set of young men by the side of the road, 10, 15 young men, drinking, smoking, all over the place. And then they go home, they're looking for the woman to clean out the house and make up the bed, arise, leaks inside of it. Brother man, are straightening that out. Okay? We're straightening that. And we're going to eat because I'm going to try to increase people's salary. If you want people to change, you need to change the pocket also. You can't want people only making sacrifice. Your belly will get thin. You'll get poor guts. People need to eat.
Okay, Mr. Kute, foreign policy. Right. What are you going to do with foreign investment?
Foreign investment.
Do you agree with Mr. Charles, the Prime Minister?
The Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister, not the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister. Do you agree with the Prime Minister, Mr. Charles, that on his foreign policy and how he's going to deal with foreign investment?
Yeah, he opened my eye with certain things he said because that is not my area. My area is not in that. That is his area, and he raised the thing on bonds. And I find that if that is true, well, because I find a lot of big countries really hold on to us like flea. So they had to be getting something because nobody giving all this kind of money just on all these set of grants and all these set of things, and them fellas taking it and they doing what they want with it and giving it family and friends. But if what he's saying there, well, you remember he's only deputy, you know, so I had to follow my Prime Minister.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Okay.
Peter, I give you an increase in your salary, bro.
Yes.
Okay, gentlemen, that was very. I really enjoyed doing that with both of you. But you know something? There's a more serious point to what I'm making, because I opened the show talking about vision and plans and policy and short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. I think these conversations need to continue. The fact that we have to sit here and almost fantasize about this, but even just talking about it gives a feel-good factor as to what Grenada could look like. And that's a Grenada that I think needs to be constantly harped and talked about, because this is how we're going to get. And even if these people out there are watching, maybe they'll copy and take some of these ideas and may implement it into Grenada. Maybe. Because I keep hearing people keep watching what we're doing. So at least if they're watching, they may learn something and they might do something constructive.
Yeah, I did Grenada, you know. So my grandmother used to give me something I think comfort to drink. So I couldn't get Maljo and all these set of things, but my eyes, the kind of pressure again, my back, oh gosh. So you and Dennis out there, I did here.
I get in it here because they're monitoring me like crazy.
Listen, I'm getting my fair share. Trust me. I'll tell you after the show, my fair share is coming. Right, gentlemen. Dennis, don't leave after the show because just stick around for a couple of minutes. Thank you all so much for watching another entertaining show with Grenada Matters. We had a bit of fun and jokes, but there were some very serious points made in there. And I hope that those that are watching and listening and like to take other people's ideas, actually take some of the ideas that the Prime Minister, Mr. Dennis Charles, made today, as with Mr. Coutain and his deputy, and actually listen to those things and say, hey, you know what? Maybe we could teeth a couple of them ideas and make it our own. Be a good move. Gentlemen, Mr. Charles, what would you like to say to end the show today?
Yes, well, once again, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Grenadians, we are coming upon another anniversary of our nation's independence. We ask ourselves, what did we get? How did we benefit or profit from the struggle for independence? And to those of you who have lost faith and hopes and dreams, I want to say that myself and my deputy coming next Sunday, we will put out some ideas, well thought out ideas. We may not have adequate time to really get into details and all of that, but there is a lot on the table that we have thought about where we can move the Spice Island, Grenada, Carriacou, Petit Martinique forward. So as I said, hang in there, don't give up the faith. Our better days are ahead of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. Mr. Coutain, Deputy.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Well, Ingram, thanks for the opportunity again. As you know me, I'm not into politics. I just a man on the ground, and whatever is happening on the island is affecting my life. And it's somebody on the ground that trying to do things for the community, and is like a noose around your neck, pulling your back. And family members are benefiting off of the hard work you're doing, and other persons within these ministries are getting fat off of the work what people are doing. And I really appreciate you bringing me on your show ever so often to really give me views. It's very humorous. It's good also. But the point is, again, as I mentioned, I said it already. There's some people within agriculture and other ministries there holding certain position. They should move them. The reason I'm saying so, even marketing board, the guy that make that point on marketing board say they want to give contract to farmers to tell farmers what to plant and what not to plant. He should be looking for a job. He don't deserve that position where he have. We have a lot of tomatoes on the market. They have the Bureau standard. They also have food and nutrition. They have the chemistry department. They have CADI. There's a place in Trinidad called Tastemakers and many other persons. Brother, get people into Grenada, come on television after GBA News in the night, and teach people how to take that tomatoes and turn it into ketchup and stop bringing in imported ketchup. Let's stay on the shelf. The papaya, banana can make ketchup. Mango can make ketchup. And I'm not just telling you because I did it, and I could also do it if I want to right now. Okay, it could happen, and it's simple to me. Minus is just vegetable oil.
Okay. I'll tell you what you do. Yeah, the next show we do, or whenever you can, make it live. And watch us see you do it.
That is my last thing.
Don't tell us. Do it. Let's see you do it. All right. Let's see you do it. All right. That's your challenge. All right. Right. Before we finish off, just very finally, Don't forget tomorrow, I think it's 6 p.m. Grenadian time. We are back with Erica Willis. Hold on.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or perhaps it's evening. My name is Erica Willis. I'm an attorney at law practicing in Grenada for the past 6 years. As a slight background, I'm also an attorney at law in Jamaica and admitted as a solicitor of the Supreme Court of England and Wales in 2000. Well, I'm here today to inform you of wonderful news. I intend to advise and promote law in Grenada because Grenada matters.
So we'll have Erica Willis back again tomorrow, 10 p.m. Let's just 6 p.m. I think it's believe at 6 p.m. Grenada time, live on Grenada Matters. So we'll have that back here tomorrow. So yeah, we're going to continue with the work. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you both. That's the end of the show, and we shall see you soon.